Practical Anarchy, a guide to self-determination. Dickie Dredd. Part 45, looking beyond money. If money is so deeply entrenched in our daily lives, it can feel almost impossible to imagine living without it. Ask most people about a money-free society, and you'll be met with disbelief or laughter. The conditioning is strong. From childhood, we are taught to equate money with survival, success, and even self-worth. To suggest it might be unnecessary sounds, to many, like suggesting life without air. Yet previous sections have shown that money is not eternal. It is a human invention with a history, and like all inventions, it can be uninvented or replaced. Later chapters will explore this more fully, but here we can sketch the outlines of why looking beyond money matters. We've already seen earlier on the sections on the history of money that barter, coins and credit were social technologies, tools to mediate exchange in particular contexts. They were not inevitable, nor were they always dominant. Indigenous communities, gift economies and commons practices run for centuries without coins or banks. If people manage them, then why not now? The difficulty lies less in the possibility than in imagination. The modern system trains us to believe that value must pass through money, even though much of what sustains us, from parenting to friendship networks to mutual aid groups, operates outside it. Capitalism intensifies the illusion. By commodifying labour, and see the previous discussion on wage slavery, it makes people dependent on money for survival. The job market presents itself as a field of freedom, yet the underlying reality is compulsion, work or starve. This dependency is what makes the idea of a money-free society so radical. To question money is to question not just economics, but power. What might lie beyond? Resource-based visions, which we will talk about in Chapter 8, suggest that production and distribution could be organised directly around needs and capabilities, not mediated by tokens of exchange. Technology already hints at this possibility. Digital commons, open source platforms and cooperative resource sharing projects bypass the cash nexus. Yet mainstream politics rarely considers such paths, because to do so threatens the very foundation of state and capitalist accumulation. Resistance to even discussing a world without money is telling. People often ask, but how would it work? While rarely asking the same of the systems they currently endure, systems that generate inequality, debt, homelessness, ecological collapse and war. Money appears natural only because power insists it must. To look beyond it is therefore not utopian fantasy, but an act of political clarity. To recognise that money, like the state, is a means of control, not a law of nature. Chapter conclusion: breaking the chains of money and wage slavery. Money and wage labour have been presented to us as natural, inevitable, even the very fabric of civilization. Yet, as we have seen throughout this chapter, they are neither neutral nor eternal. They are tools of discipline, both from enclosure and reinforced by states and corporations. Their power lies as much in shaping our imagination as in managing our survival, convincing us that without them we would fall into chaos. This myth has been challenged every turn. Earlier, we showed how barter-only systems fail, not because humans are naturally selfish, but because they are trapped within the same scarcity logic. Earlier sections demonstrated how money creeps back even within supposed alternatives, unless collective safeguards and federated structures are in place. Previous parts then revealed how green capitalism and ESG frameworks co-opt ecological concerns to keep the monetary system intact. The picture is clear. Money always reasserts itself when left unexamined. Yet resistance is constant. From the commons-based experiments that will be discussed later, to the federated models to be outlined in a future chapter, we glimpse the contours of life beyond money. Wage slavery is not the end point of human history, but a phase. one that can be undone through commons, cooperation and care. In this sense, the fight is not simply about economics, but about reimagining what counts as wealth, scarcity and freedom. We must also reckon with the psychological chains. Decades of propaganda have taught us to equate money with safety, hierarchy with order, consumption with joy. This pub wisdom, the casual cynicism that insists there are too many people, too few resources and no alternative, is as effective as any police force in maintaining the system. Later on we will look at breaking fatalism, remind us that breaking fatalism is as vital as building solar panels or food networks. It is only when people see in practice that needs can be met outside the market that belief in inevitability begins to crack. The abolition of wage slavery does not mean an end to work, but a transformation of it. Without the coercion of survival, work becomes activity, creative, necessary, joyful, shared. This is the promise glimpsed in worker co-ops, repair cafes, traveller sites and urban technocratic and risks producing hierarchy in this urban technocratic gardens. It is not utopia, it is practice, already alive at the margins. What is needed to expand these margins until they reshape the centre? Breaking the chains of money and wage labour will not be easy. The obstacles that will be mapped out later are real: psychological fear, institutional inertia and ideological myths. But the resistance, to be discussed later, rooted in everyday anarchism and federation, points the way forward. Anarchism without tackling money is incomplete. To live free, we must unlearn scarcity, reject the lie of inevitability, and build the infrastructures of care that make wage slavery obsolete. In Colin Ward's words, anarchism is the seed beneath the snow. Money and wage labour are the frost, harsh, numbing, seemingly permanent. But frost always melts, and seeds, once germinated, do not ask permission. They grow.